Good afternoon. Just on 20 minutes to go in this afternoon's football matches. Plenty of time for scorelines to change. League and Cup games on today's fixture list. Mark Bright, Steve Claridge and Garth Crooks are watching the Barclays Premier League games that are underway. And let's go right up to date with the situation in those matches. Aston Villa will move third in the table if they win the home game with Fulham that Ivan Gaskell's watching.
Fast approaching the final quarter hour here, 0-0, a game not as good as it could have been and should have been. Villa generally on top, but little toothless. Sidwell and Barry should have buried a first half header but didn't. Friedel rarely troubled on his record-breaking appearance. Minutes ago, another Barry header into the ground centre of goal. Schwarzer touched it onto the bar, 0-0.
A winner for Sheffield Wednesday maybe at home to Norwich City this afternoon. Marcus Tudgay on 72 minutes. Hull City arrived at Stoke in the knowledge a win would take them above Arsenal in the table. Did Tigers fans think they'd hear that at the start of the season? A Stoke victory would take them into the top half of the table. Andrew James reporting.
It's not looking too likely at the moment, Ray. Hull City have the lead. It came from Marlon King just before half-time, a curling shot into the top corner beyond Sorensen. And really, they've been quite good value for that, despite all of Hull's Stoke's pressing. We've been playing the game in fog. In fact, we have a penalty. We have a penalty to Stoke City for the foul on Ricardo Fuller by the goalkeeper, Buzz Myhill. And this could really change things round. So let's hand you back to the studio and I'll update you on the score here.
We'll get back there when the penalty is going to be taken. Points-wise, really tight in the bottom half of the table going into today's matches. Every point's precious. Sunderland and Bolton both within 3 points of a relegation place. Steve Sutton reports on the game at the Stadium of Light.
Where Sunderland 1, Bolton 4, Ray. Sunderland took the lead through Cisse, then Taylor, Cahill and Elmander made it 3-1 at half-time. Elmander made it 4 on the hour. He's just missed a gilt-edged chance for a hat-trick. Sunderland in disarray. Bolton lead 4-1.
It's 5 defeats in 6 maybe. Let's get back to the Britannia Stadium. Stoke against Hull, a penalty. Andrew James.
Ricardo Fuller is the man who's going to take it, Ray, for Stoke City, looking for his 6th goal in the Premier League this season. He was brought down by Zayate's challenge. He's up against Bowers Myhill. Fuller takes it, and it's in the corner. Myhill got a hand to it, but it's the equalising goal from the penalty spot from Fuller. Stoke 1, Hull 1.
Stoke's home form so important that could be a priceless penalty. Wigan were 2 points above a relegation place when a home game with bottom of the table West Bromwich Albion kicked off. Latest news comes from Damien Johnson.
Wigan 1, West Brom 1. 2 defensive howlers led to the goals that sparked this game into life after the break. Titus Bramble dithered to allow Ismail Miller to score for West Brom from an acute angle. At the other end, Paul Robinson's attempted header back to his keeper was acrobatically turned in by Henri Camara. This after a forgettable first half, notable only for a bad miss by Camara. Both sides have gone close in the second period. Kirkland has been brilliant in between the posts for Wigan. It's 1-1.
An equaliser for second bottom Doncaster in the Championship away at fourth bottom Watford. Dundee 1, St Johnstone 1 in Scotland. Middlesbrough were 10th, Newcastle 3rd bottom when a derby match in the northeast of England kicked off. Steve Sutton reporting.
Well, it's Borough 0, Newcastle 0 here at the Riverside. It's been a really poor tease-tying derby. One of those games where if it was in your garden, you'd close the curtains. The closest either side has come. Justin Hoyt just a few minutes ago for Middlesbrough. Close range shot, beaten around the post fantastically by Shay Given. Mark Viduka's come on as a sub following his long injury layoff. He had a shot blocked about 10 minutes ago, but disappointing derby and 0-0.
But an exciting conclusion to this afternoon's games. Was the Stoke City penalty a penalty?
No, you should always... first and foremost, it was untidy. It was an untidy challenge on Fuller. But I'm always very dubious of penalty takers who go down and it appeared to me as though he was always looking for the penalty and Hull City obliged. Having said that, it was a poor penalty. The keeper should have saved it.
Aston Villa against Fulham, Steve. Yeah. Should we say well done Fulham, or Aston Villa not firing on all cylinders today?
Well, they've had some gilt-edged chances in this game, to be fair. I mean, the two boys from midfield, Sidwell and Barry, they've got up in support of Agbonlahor, and they're the ones who've had the chances. 2 apiece, all headers as well. 2 from dead ball situations. Should be winning this game, and these are the types of games, if you want to finish above Arsenal in that 4th spot, you have to win.
Mark, we're going to have to start using the word crisis, are we, at Sunderland? This could be, or will be, it appears, 5 defeats in 6.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking at Roy Keane's body language as well. He stands there, he doesn't go to the technical area, doesn't say anything. The team are 4-1 down. I mean, you know, full credit to Bolton, Ray. They've scored more goals away from home now than Manchester United and Liverpool. You know, but this game's over for me, and I was Sunderland looking at like 5 losses out of 6.
And Sunderland on the way into the bottom 3 as things stand. To Scotland, Hearts versus Rangers, a lunchtime kick-off in the SPL. 3rd versus 2nd. Andy Gillis reporting.
Hearts made it 5 wins in a row and consolidated their 3rd place in the table, while at the same time putting a spanner in the works of Rangers' title challenge. The goals all came in a 6-minute period in the first half. Hearts went 2 up, courtesy of 2 Bruno Aguiar free kicks, both headed on by Christophe Berra and turned in by Zaliukas and then Kingston. Rangers came straight back into it when Karapidis put the ball into his own net. The Hearts defence, though, held firm for the remaining 74 minutes, even when they were reduced to 10 men when Lee Wallace was sent off for a 2nd yellow card. They more than merited the points.
Millwall, FA Cup finalists in 2004, looked like they're through to the 3rd round. 2-0 up at home to Aldershot. It's Accrington Stanley 1, Bury 2 in a League 2 game being played this afternoon. Back to the SPL, league leaders and champions Celtic playing Inverness. Ian Turner reporting.
Celtic 1, Inverness 0, and it's looking as if it's going to be a good day for the champions. No points for nearest rivals Rangers, and heading for 3 points themselves. It's Sean Maloney's first half goal rather, which has them in front. And although Thistle are throwing plenty at Gordon Strachan's side, they're just not doing enough to trouble Arthur Boric in the home goal. Celtic lead 1-0.
Also on today's SPL fixture list, second bottom St Mirren versus 4th place Dundee United. Brian McLaughlin.
It's St Mirren 0, Dundee United 1. John Daly scoring after 36 minutes, but Saints have had the best 2 chances in the game. Andy Dorman blasting over from just 12 yards, and Dennis Wyness did likewise from inside the 6-yard box when a tap-in would have been more appropriate. St Mirren 0, Dundee United 1.
Hamilton off the bottom of the SPL as things stand. No doubting today's top game in the Coca-Cola Championship, the lunchtime clash between the top 2 at Molineux. Darren Fletcher watched Wolves play Birmingham.
It was a derby full of passion and heart, and on the balance of play, a draw was the right result. Wolves started well, but Birmingham edged the first half, and they had the best chance when Bent's lob was brilliantly cleared off the line by Richard Stearman. Cameron Jerome replaced Phillips at half-time, and within 3 minutes he fired them ahead, lashing onto a long punt forward before beating Hennessy. Wolves responded and attacked with vigour, Mick McCarthy sending on Vokes, Edwards and Keogh, and they equalised 17 minutes from time when Ebanks Blake scored from Ward's cross. Both might have nicked the win. Ridgewell had a goal disallowed for offside, and Taylor made a flying save from Vokes, but it ended all square, and Wolves stay 6 points clear at the top of the championship.
They have a 13-point cushion on an automatic promotion place. In the FA Cup, sponsored by Eon, second-round ties being played this afternoon. 73 league places separate Unibond League side Eastwood Town and League 2 leaders Wickham. And Natalie Jackson reporting.
Well, the Little Nottinghamshire team are 1-0 up here against Wickham. Eastwood are 3 divisions below the League 2 leaders, but they really deserve their lead here this afternoon. The goal was scored by Lyndon Meikle, a long-range curling stunner. The 19-year-old retail shop worker is a local lad, and he could be the hero here this afternoon. Can the Badgers hang on, as they're known to pull off a famous cup victory on this muddy sloping pitch? It's Eastwood 1, Wickham 0.
The shock that would be Luton fighting for a replay. They've equalised away at Southend. Luton facing extinction from the Football League, but will their season be brightened up with a cup run? A result in the FA Cup. Fleetwood Town at the Blue Square North versus League One Hartlepool was an early kick-off. John Murray reporting.
Fleetwood Town's first ever appearance in the second round of the FA Cup certainly had its moments in the freezing Lancashire fog, not least when a seagull on the pitch briefly stopped play in the second half. Fleetwood supporters, known as the Cod Army, will certainly remember Andy Bell putting the club from the Blue Square North into the lead in the first half. Within minutes though, Michael Mackay equalised for Hartlepool. He scored again right at the start of the second half. Joe Porter made it 3-1, but the last 20 minutes were interesting after Adam Warlaw got a second for Fleetwood. However, Hartlepool held out to reach the third round.
Forest Green of the Blue Square Premier League also causing a shock, leading Leigh 2 Rochdale 2-0, while Blue Square Northside Droylsden were leading at Chesterfield when the match was abandoned due to fog. They will rue that decision and the weather. One was a first-round replay, being at lunchtime now. The floodlight failure scuppered the first one. Just to say, Grays Athletic of the Blue Square Premier League knocked out of the FA Cup by Carlisle United by 2-1. Back to the Championship, Ipswich just outside of playoff place. Sheffield United held a playoff place going into the match, and then Andy Barwell is following at Portman Road.
Well, this game has never really quite lived up to expectations, but Ipswich are ahead. Matthew Kilgallen's handball, penalty dispatched by Tommy Miller for Ipswich. A fine save by Richard Wright, though. Kilgallen looking to make amends. The Sheffield United equaliser seemed on the cards until Wright intervened to get it away. It's Ipswich 1, Sheffield United 0.
In the SPL, Falkirk 1, Hibs 1, and that is Russell Latterby Day, marking the 40-year-old's he first moved to Scotland so many years ago, a decade ago. He's played for Hibs, Rangers, Dundee United and Falkirk. They've said today as Russell Latterby Day. It's a great tribute to him, and the match itself, it's 1-1. Falkirk 1, Hibs 1. If Russell Latterby is on the pitch and scores, that would be a terrific end to that story, wouldn't it? Fifth place, 14th in the Championship at Turf Moor, Burnley versus Derby. Alan Biggs reporting.
Burnley 3, Derby 0. Burnley have been brilliant, but then they've needed to shine through the fog here, although it was only after they raced into an early 3-0 lead that the conditions raised any concern. It was lights out already at that stage for Derby, conceding to Kevin McDonald's 20-yarder, his first goal for Burnley, and then two smart finishes from Martin Patterson, both from terrific crosses by Eagles. Derby have been better second half, they couldn't have been worse. Burnley, though, looked like seeing this out with an orange ball.
And moving fourth in the table, it would appear. Only goal difference was keeping Plymouth out of a playoff place when a home game with Blackpool kicked off. Hamish Marshall reporting.
Well, they're trailing by 2-1, and Blackpool have come from behind here to go in front, and what a story. Both goals have come from substitute Liam Dickinson. He got them within 6 minutes of coming onto the pitch on his debut after signing on loan from Derby. Paul Gallagher had put Plymouth in front with a 20-yard cracker, but now they're having to chase this game. It's Plymouth 1, Blackpool 2.
Crystal Palace have been moving towards the playoff places of late. Queen's Park Rangers just above them in the table when the match at Selhurst Park kicked off. 12th versus 10th. Tony Lockwood reporting.
A London derby that's improved after a largely forgettable first half. Rangers' latest arrival, Heider Helgeson, contrived to miss an unguarded net from 20 yards out. Palace's best chance fell to Paul Eiffel. Radek Cherney in the visitors' goal making a smart save. Still stalemate at Selhurst Park.
Could be a cruel exit for Luton Town in the FA Cup, because with 6 minutes to go, Junior Stanislas, who scored Southend's first goal, has put Southend 2-1 up. Southend 2, Luton 1. Back to the Championship, new Watford boss Brendan Rodgers in charge of the team for the first time today. Fourth bottom Watford playing second bottom Doncaster. Mark Bishop reporting.
Watford 1, Doncaster Rovers 1. 842 Doncaster fans away to my right have seen their side grab what could be a very useful equaliser. Spicer's terrific cross from the right. Sublime finish from substitute Steve Brooker on his debut on loan from Bristol City. Watford up against it. Doncaster have had 2 penalty appeals turned down. It's Watford 1, Doncaster Rovers 1.
Alfreton at the Blue Sker North are out of the FA Cup because with 7 minutes to go they've conceded a third goal to Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe 3, Alfreton Town 0. To the JJB Stadium, Wigan against West Bromwich Albion, and a goal, Damien Johnson.
In the dying minutes, Wigan have taken the lead. It was a right-wing corner from Jason Kumas, and I think the man who got the header was Emerson Boyce, who's only just returned to the side. A thunderous header. Carson couldn't do anything, and Wigan, it has to be said, against the run of play in this second half, lead 2-1.
Wigan unbeaten in 4 going into this game. Albion had the lead, 1 point from 21, bottom of the table, just throwing it away, Steve.
Yeah, they are. They went through a period in the game where you couldn't see them anything other than winning this game. I just don't know how they've contrived to lose a game where they've been on top for so long. It is. I think that's why they are where they are. I think it's that there's a soft underbelly. They play some great football, but they are always vulnerable.
You're exasperated by Albion's
I'm exasperated by them. I feel sorry for Tony Mowbray because, as Steve says, they've worked so hard. There's 5 minutes left on the board and you can't be bothered to attack a ball. In actual fact, one player pulls away from the header. What do you expect?
Yeah. Steve Bruce, you're in charge at Wigan, and he obviously has them playing to the final whistle. Unbeaten in 4 going into this game. Good progress.
Big win for them, Zaki's out, 9 goals, how important he is to the team. Emil Heskey's come back, he's led the line well. Camera's got himself a goal, and Boyce there. So, important for the home to pick up the home wins.
Well, Fulham holding the good big teams of late. Are they going to hold on and take a point from the Aston Villa match? Ivan Gaskell.
Well, only a minute and a half plus added time in which to do so. Sidwell has just had another chance. The two midfielders for Villa, Barry and Sidwell, have had all of the clear chances in this game, and they've managed to steer them either wide or onto the crossbar or over the crossbar. So it's still 0-0, seconds to go. Villa still throwing everything at it. Can they do so? Time running out.
Will there be a dramatic conclusion to the Stoke-Hull City game? Andrew James.
Time running out here too, Ray, but you sense that perhaps both sides have settled for the point here. There's been no real efforts on goal since you were last with us. That penalty equaliser from Ricardo Fuller. It's a Stoke 1, Hull City 1.
Well, a winning goal in the Middlesbrough-Newcastle match would be absolutely priceless for either side. Paul Addison reporting.
Still goalless, Ray. This game lucky to be last on Match of the Day, lucky to be on Match of the Day at all. It's been awful. Best chance for Justin Hoyt, but it was saved brilliantly by Shay Given. It's 0-0.
In the Championship, bottom of the table, Nottingham Forest playing Barnsley. Andy May reporting.
One up, and with boss Colin Calderwood admitting that he's fighting for his future. It seems his players are too. Joe Garner with the only goal, the winger heading home from close range in the first half. Emergency loan signing Jamie Curitan's on for Barnsley. I just saw one of their fans put down his Brazil flag and put it back in his bag. Nottingham Forest 1, Barnsley 0.
Third bottom place, fifth bottom in the Championship. Robin Bailey following the Charlton-Southampton match.
Looks like Charlton are not going to have a win since October the 4th because it's still 0-0 here, and a fantastic save by Nicky Weaver in the Charlton goal has just saved them from probably losing this match. Southampton the better side in the second half. Bradley Wright-Phillips might have had a couple of goals, and a brilliant performance from the Southampton keeper Kelvin Davis in the first half kept them in it. So it's 0-0 with just about 3 minutes left.
Another goal for Dundee United away at St Mirren. Millwall 3, Aldershot 0 in the FA Cup. Millwall through to the third round. To the Championship, Sheffield Wednesday against Norwich. James Mason.
It's still 3-2 to Sheffield Wednesday, Ray, in what has been a rollercoaster of a second half. Goals from McMahon, Clark and Tudgay have given Wednesday a priceless lead. And to compound Norwich's misery this afternoon, John Kennedy has been sent off for a professional foul. Last few minutes, Sheffield Wednesday 3, Norwich City 2.
In the SPL, St Mirren look like they're going to the bottom of the table. Brian McLaughlin reporting.
Yeah, now 2-0 United. John Daly from the penalty spot after Craig Conway had been pulled down inside the box. United have dominated the match throughout, although St Mirren did miss some horrendous chances in the second period. St Mirren 0, Dundee United 2.
Can the Badgers of Eastwood Town hang on and beat Wycombe? They would be the first team to beat Wycombe so far this season. An FA Cup second round tie being watched by Natalie Jackson.
Well, Ray, you come to me here now, and Peter Knox has just scored for Eastwood Town. It's 2-0, and the crowd is absolutely going mad. My view was skewed by two men dressed in a Badger suit, but Eastwood are 2-0 up, and they look like they're pulling off a famous victory here this afternoon against Wycombe. Eastwood 2, Wycombe 0.
70-odd league places between those two teams. Well played, Eastwood Town, the Nottinghamshire club that's sort of shown Wycombe Wanderers unbeaten in the league so far this season. The FA Cup always does this, Garth.
Always does it. Players on the day, if they don't perform, they get punished. And the FA Cup has a great history of giving players stage fright.
Yeah, well played, Eastwood Town. Goal at Portman Road, late goal in the Ipswich-Sheffield United game, Andy Barwell.
And it's reward for Sheffield United, throwing on 3 strikers from the substitutes bench. A handball in the penalty area by Ipswich Town's Alex Bruce, but it was James Beattie who made no mistake from the spot. It's now Ipswich 1, Sheffield United 1.
Aston Villa have missed their opportunity at Villa Park this afternoon. Well played, Fulham. They leave with a draw. Martin O'Neill will be very disappointed, I fancy. Ivan Gaskell.
Yes, 0-0. Fulham might regard it as a job well done, but surely an opportunity missed by Aston Villa in general, and Messrs Sidwell and Barry in particular, both Villa midfielders, had chances to win it for a Villa side eager to push into the top 3 tonight, but they didn't take them. Barry, for one, will wonder how Schwarzer was able to parry his clear header from just yards out onto the crossbar. Freezing cold and frustrating for them. 0-0.
So what's the verdict? Martin O'Neill and Roy Hodgson will have differing opinions, I would imagine. But are we saying well played, Fulham?
We are. I mean, they've done another job, haven't they? Did it last week. We saw Newcastle and Fulham play pretty much in the same ilk. They needed a goal. Aston Villa had 4 or 5 really good opportunities. Didn't take them. That one goal can put a completely different complexion on this game. They didn't get it, and yet again, Fulham have got a good point away from home.
Sidcup, Young, Agbon Lahore, they've blown it, Ray. They've had a chance to go third. They've blown it.
So another valuable point for Fulham, drawing away at Aston Villa this afternoon. Let's go to the JJB Stadium. Wigan against West Bromwich Albion. Bottom of the table, West Bromwich Albion have let it slip once again. Damien Johnson.
Yes, Wigan 2, West Brom 1. A late goal from Emerson Boyce, his first in the Premier League, gave Wigan an unlikely victory on the first anniversary of Steve Bruce taking over here at the JJB Stadium. Albion took the lead through Ismail Miller, who pounced as tight as Bramble dithered. Another defensive howler by Paul Robinson allowed Henri Camara acrobatically to turn in the equaliser. West Brom were on top after that. Only the brilliance of Chris Kirkland kept Wigan in it. England's forgotten goalkeeper pulled off a string of top-class saves to keep the scores level before Boyce popped up with the winner at the end. 5 straight defeats now for West Brom.
So West Bromwich Albion had the lead, let it slip, bottom of the table. Final whistle's going through on the video printer. Burnley beaten Derby by 3-0. Final whistle has gone in the match between Middlesbrough and Newcastle. Let's hear from Paul Addison.
Yes, Ray, 0-0 here, share of the points in what's been a really terrible Tees-Tyne derby. There have been some memorable occasions between the two sides down the years. This one, instantly forgettable. Borough had the best chance of the game in the second half. Justin Hoyt forcing a fantastic save out of Shay Given. At the other end, Mark Viduka came on as the second half substitute. Newcastle fans will be delighted to see him back after his long layoff, but he couldn't find the back of the net. 0-0.
Two sides of the coin. Well played, Bolton. Won 4 out of 5, making progress away from the relegation places. Sunderland 5 defeats in 6. The Stadium of Light crowd booing their team this afternoon. Quite a setback. Maybe we've got to start using the word crisis for the Black Cat. Steve Sutton reporting.
Well, I think a lot of the fans think that, Ray. It's Sunderland 1, Bolton 4 at full time. There were boos and jeers when Bolton got their 4th. That was from the fans who could be bothered staying because the ground quickly emptied from then on in. Story of the match, Cisse gives Sunderland the lead early in the first half before Taylor, Cahill and Elmander made it 3-1 before half-time. All errors on behalf of the Sunderland defence. Take nothing away from Bolton, though. They took them well. Then in the second half, another howler. Whitehead lost the ball on the edge of the box. Nolan nudged it left to Elmander. Elmander got his 2nd and Bolton's 4th. Sunderland in deep trouble. Sunderland 1, Bolton 4.
Garth, what is the problem with Sunderland's performances?
Well, schoolboy errors, in short. There were 3 errors you just couldn't legislate for. But I'm really interested now to hear Roy Keane's interview after the game, because you just sense at the Stadium of Light that the fans are not happy, the players look like they're not happy, and I'm pretty sure Keane's not happy.
I think you have to give credit to Bolton, though, Ray. I think that's a 3rd away win on the trot, and they've scored more goals away now than Manchester United and Liverpool, so give them some credit.
Just very quickly, a couple of interesting points. Roy Keane, every time we go to Roy Keane, that's all we see is that...
Body language.
Arms folded, say nothing,
you said,
no encouragement, nothing.
Who's his assistant? We haven't seen anybody else in the pictures. No, there's nothing going on there, is there, on the bench?
There's a really bad atmosphere.
Let's go to the SPL. Celtic this afternoon have gone 7 points clear at the top of the table. Ian Turner reporting.
Celtic 1, Inverness 0, and it was a very good effort by Inverness, but in the end a Sean Maloney goal just on the half hour proved to be the difference between the teams. Shinsuke Nakamura set up the chance beautifully, but in truth there was little guile from the champions today, and Thistle, although they were impotent in front of goal, will feel aggrieved at leaving Glasgow with nothing. Celtic goes 7 clear, Celtic 1, Inverness 0.
In the FA Cup, congratulations go to Eastwood Town of the Unibond Premier League team, beating Wycombe Wanderers. Natalie Jackson reporting.
Yes, Ray, Eastwood Town have done exactly what every League Two team couldn't do all season. Eastwood Town have beaten Wycombe Wanderers. The crowd have surged onto the pitch. They're all over the pitch here this afternoon. They're cheering and shouting. They're called the Badgers, and there are people in badger suits running all over the place. This is a famous victory for Eastwood. Lyndon Meikle scored the first, Andy Knox the second, and for the first time in their 55-year history, Eastwood are in the 3rd round. Eastwood 2, Wycombe 0.
Congratulations go to Eastwood Town. In the Coca-Cola Championship, Ipswich against Sheffield United. Andy Barwell reporting.
It's finished one apiece here between these two promotion hopefuls. A game of two penalties. Tommy Miller from the spot in the first half after handball by Matthew Kilgallen. Ipswich seemed to be hanging on for all 3 points, but on 89 minutes, another handball incident, this time in the home side's penalty area. Alex Bruce was the guilty party. James Beattie blasted home the Sheffield United equaliser. Full-time, Ipswich 1, Sheffield United 1.
Vital late equaliser for Sheffield United. Bottom of the table, Nottingham Forest at home to Barnsley today. Andy May reporting.
A valuable 3 points, Ray, for Forest and boss Colin Calderwood, who's admitted he's fighting for his future. Joe Garner with the only goal, the winger heading home from close range in the first half. He also teed up John Macken, who should have made it 2 from close range. Plenty of chances for Forest. Barnsley looked poor in the second 45 after a pretty decent first half. The pressure is kind of off Calderwood. 1-0.
The final whistle has gone in the Stoke City-Hull City match. Andrew James reporting from the Britannia Stadium.
Yeah, Stoke City 1, Hull City 1, Ray. One team with a proud home record, the other impressive away, so a draw, the right outcome on the day. Hull City led against the run of play at half-time. A curling shot from Marlon King in stoppage time. Rory Delap's throws weren't an issue today, although substitute Dean Windass got a first-half yellow for warming up in front of one of them. But it was Stoke's other weapon that salvaged a point. Ricardo Fuller winning a dubious penalty as he fell under goalkeeper Myhill's challenge. The Hull City keeper unable to keep out Fuller's poor but significant penalty equaliser. Stoke City 1, Hull City 1.
People trying everything to negate those Rory Delap long throws. To Turf Moor, Alan Biggs watched the Burnley Derby game this afternoon.
Burnley won 3-0. All the goals came early. White out for Derby, even before the fog came down. Kevin MacDonald and 2-goal Martin Patterson the scorers, but arguably Chris Eagles, the biggest star, turned for Burnley, whose only worry was keeping the fog at bay. They did, and can they do the same against Arsenal on Tuesday? Should be a good game on this evidence.
Now, Watford against Doncaster, fourth bottom against second bottom, and Mark Bishop reporting.
Watford 1, Doncaster Rovers 1. Watford's new manager Brendan Rodgers has got a lot of work to do after this showing. First 20 minutes belonged to lowly Doncaster. They hit the bar through Wellins. Tommy Smith eventually put the home side ahead from Priskin's cross. Doncaster were a different team in the second half. Substitute Steve Brooker got the all-important equaliser. 1-1 it's finished.
You're watching Final Score every Saturday from 2:30 via the red button and then on BBC One. All the day's football matches are centre stage as we chart the progress of all the games from start to finish. The results are just about in. Tim Gudgeon will confirm today's final scores.
Starting with the Barclays Premier League, Aston Villa 0, Fulham 0. Middlesbrough 0, Newcastle United 0. Stoke City 1, Hull City 1. Sunderland 1, Bolton Wanderers 4. Wigan Athletic 2, West Bromwich Albion 1. In the Coca-Cola Championship, Burnley 3, Derby County 0. Charlton Athletic 0, Southampton 0. Crystal Palace 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0. Ipswich Town 1, Sheffield United 1. Nottingham Forest 1, Barnsley 0. Plymouth Argyle 1, Blackpool 2. Preston North End and Bristol City kick off at 5:20. Sheffield Wednesday 3, Norwich City 2. Watford 1, Doncaster Rovers 1. Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Birmingham City 1. Coca-Cola League 1, Northampton Town 1, Colchester United 2. Walsall 2, Swindon Town 1. In League 2, Accrington Stanley 1, Bury 2. In the FA Cup, sponsored by Ian, first round replay, Grays Athletic 0, Carlisle United 2. And in play in the second round, Bournemouth and Blythe Spartans kick off at 5:20. Bradford City 1, Leyton Orient 2. Chesterfield's match with Droylsden was abandoned because of fog. That's the case with several of the matches today. Only one other one was abandoned because of floodlight failure. Eastwood Town 2, Wycombe Wanderers 0. Fleetwood Town 2, Hartlepool United 3. Forest Green Rovers 2, Rochdale 0. Gillingham 0, Stockport County 0. Kidderminster Harriers 2, Curzon Ashton 0. Leicester City 3, Dagenham and Redbridge 2. Millwall 3, Aldershot Town 0. Morecambe's match with Cheltenham Town abandoned because of fog. Peterborough United 0, Tranmere Rovers 0. Continuing the FA Cup second round, Scunthorpe United 4, Alfreton Town 0. Southend United 3, Luton Town 1. Torquay United 2, Oxford United 0. In the Blue Square Premier, Altrincham 0, Rushton and Diamonds 4. Burton Albion 2, Eastbourne Borough 0. Cambridge United 1, Ebbsfleet United 0. Northwich Victoria 0, Crawley Town 1. Salisbury City 1, York City 1. Stevenage Borough 1, Wrexham 2. Weymouth 1, Mansfield Town 1. In the Clydesdale Bank Scottish Premier League, Aberdeen 2, Motherwell 0. Celtic 1, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 0. Falkirk 1, Hibernian 1. Hamilton Academical 1, Kilmarnock 0. Hearts 2, Rangers 1. St Mirren 0, Dundee United 2. The Ernbrew Scottish Division 1, Dundee 1, St Johnstone 1. In the homecoming Scottish Cup, third round, Airdrie United 3, Cove Rangers 0. Albion Rovers 1, Queen's Park 2. Clackaghcuddin 0, Stenhousemuir 5. Clyde 2, Montrose 0. East Fife 2, Arbroath 0. East Stirlingshire 2, Livingston 1. All the matches, the rest of the matches in the Scottish Cup were postponed because of weather. Latest score, third round, Peterhead 2, Greenock Morton 1. Wraith Rovers 0, Alloa Athletic 0. Ross County 2, Dumbarton 2. Stirling Albion 2, Partick Thistle 3. In the Welsh Premier, Aberystwyth Town 3, Carnarvon Town 1. Airbus UK Broughton 1, Port Talbot Town 1. Casus 2, the New Saints FC 6. Carmarthen Town 1, Prestatyn Town 0. Gap Connors Quay 3, Newtown 3. Haverfordwest County 4, Portmarnock 2. And Hrill 7, Welshpool Town 1. In the JJB Sports Premiership, Bangor 4, Coleraine 0. Crusaders 2, Linfield 3. Dungannon Swifts 0, Cliftonville 3. Glenavon 1, Ballymena United 3. Glentoran 2, Newry City 1. Institute 0, Lisbon Distillery 2.
One late kick-off in the homecoming Scottish Cup. It's now final score, Peterhead 2, Greenock Morton 1. Thanks to Tim Gudgeon. League tables on the way and coming later after 5:30 when we repeat today's results. We'll include leagues from further down football's pyramid system. But let's take a look at the league tables in the light of today's results. And in the Barclays Premier League, top three are still to play this weekend. Aston Villa failed to join them after being held at home. Hull moved level on points with Arsenal, while Bolton, who started the month in the bottom three, are up to 7th. West Bromwich Albion's fourth successive defeat leaves them rooted to the foot of the table. Sunderland slipped into the bottom three, swapping places with North East rivals Newcastle. Only half the teams in the league were in action this afternoon, of course, 4 games tomorrow. Coca-Cola Championship, Wolves and Birmingham fought out that 1-1 draw at lunchtime to strengthen their grip on the 2 automatic promotion places. Third place Reading now trail Wolves by 13 points and Wolves by 7 ahead of their home match against Coventry on Monday night. Burnley move above Sheffield United after beating Derby, whilst United drew at Ipswich. Nottingham Forest move off the foot of the table following victory over Barnsley. Doncaster Rovers slip into the bottom three despite a creditable draw at Watford. Brendan Rodgers' first match in charge of third win in 4 matches for Alan Nill's side. At the bottom, Accrington Stanley remain in 16th place but are well above Luton and Bournemouth at the bottom, who of course suffered those points deductions alongside Rotherham. The top half of the Blue Square Premier League, with Histon and Torquay involved in the FA Cup. Burton Albion have gone back to the top of the table. Cambridge United also won today to go 4th. And Northwich Victoria, the only side in the bottom 5 in league action today. They suffered a late defeat to stay 22nd. No winners in the bottom half of the table. In the Clydesdale Bank Scottish Premier League, victory for Celtic over Inverness extends their lead at the top to 7 points. That's because Rangers lost for only the second time this season at third place Hearts earlier in the day. Dundee United and Aberdeen both won and complete the top 5. Hamilton beat Kilmarnock 1-0, their first victory since mid-September, enough to lift the Accies off the bottom at the expense of St Mirren. Motherwell continued to slide down the table. Mark McGee's men now 10th following a 5-match winless run. Let's turn our attention back to the Barclays Premier League with this summary of the top stories of the day. Shock and forward the Stadium of Light. It's now 3 goals in 2 games for Bolton's record signing Yoanel Manda. Bolton 4 wins in 5, Sunderland 5 defeats in 6. Kamara provides a picture-perfect finish and Boyce uses his head to earn Wigan victory over bottom club West Bromwich Albion. Fulham makes Hull pay the penalty as the Potters claim a point. The last 4 matches between these sides have now ended in 1-1 draws. The 113th Tyne Tees derby proves unlucky for those that watched it. A low-key affair ended in a goalless stalemate. And Aston Villa are left to reflect on missed opportunities against Fulham, who rarely tested goalkeeper Brad Friedel on his record-breaking appearance. Highlights of all those games can be seen in tonight's Match of the Day, 10:10 at BBC One. Tomorrow's Match of the Day 2 will feature highlights of the Chelsea-Arsenal game, a Manchester derby, Portsmouth's home game with Blackburn and the Tottenham-Everton game. BBC 2, 10 o'clock start. So, Garth, performance of the day, let's say Bolton winning away at Sunderland.
Well, outside of Eastwood beating Wickham, and Wickham are not unbeaten in the league, and Eastwood have gone on to the FA Cup for the 3rd round, top of the first time in their history. Fantastic. That's performance of the day. But I've got to say to you, there's some serious issues at the Stadium of Light with Sunderland. Got whacked 4-1 by Bolton, and I have to say, Roy Keane looked very, very impotent. I'll be really interested to see what he has to say at full time. West Brom, through a golden opportunity of not getting just 1 point, but threw away 3 points today, came away with nothing.
Steve, what jumped off the screen for you this afternoon?
I think basically you've got to look at it. That's got to be the match of the day is Bolton. Just the way that they folded, shall we say, Sunderland. They went a goal up. They looked OK. There was no problems, and all of a sudden, 1 or 2 mistakes. 1 or 2 little bits of unrest, and you're looking on the bench and you're saying, for the first time, I think, and I never thought I'd say this, it feels like you want to put an arm around Roy Keane. He needs a friend almost. He stood there on his own. There's no communication. There's nobody actually there with him. And you're thinking, at some stage, he's going to need some help. Basic errors. I know we're going to read too much. I think people read too much into this. There were basic errors that cost them today, but Bolton were the better side.
Let's give some credit to Fulham for their away form has never been good. So they did well last week. They've drawn again at Aston Villa this afternoon.
Well, I think they've beaten Arsenal. They've got a good draw against Liverpool as well. So, they've gone up there and they've given a really good account of themselves. But Aston Villa, I think Garth said before, a great opportunity to jump above Arsenal, and they choked on it.
Let's get back to Villa Park to hear from John Motson, who commentated on the Aston Villa-Fulham game. John, what struck you this afternoon from the performances of the two teams?
Well, I think Garth said they blew it, and I think Mark Bright said they choked, and both those reactions to Aston Villa's performance absolutely spot on. Are they the real deal yet? Not on this evidence. And I don't think, begging Martin O'Neill's pardon, you can play 4-5-1 at home and expect to break down a team like Fulham. Gabby Agbonlahor by himself all afternoon. They did get midfield players into the box, but usually only on set plays. And frankly, it was a game of very few chances. It's a very good point one for Fulham. But here's Villa's dilemma. And I think this goes into the January transfer window, boys. I think Martin O'Neill has got to think about bringing another striker into his squad. John Carew was not fit today, hence the reason possibly that they kept the same formation. But do you know what? We went through the whole 93 minutes and Martin O'Neill did not make a substitution. That suggests to me he hasn't got a great deal of faith in Marlon Harewood, who was on the bench. He had a 17-year-old on the bench who's an untried striker at first-team level. And I think unless Villa strengthen their squad in that area, I think you're going to say to yourself, well, the best they'll do is 5th.
John, please stay with us because we can hear now from the Fulham manager, Roy Hodgson.
Roy, what's your feeling about that? A 0-0 draw looks good on paper for yourselves as the away team?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, we
We know we're coming to yet another top 4 team here, and it's going to be difficult for us. I thought in the first half we played on a par with Villa. I thought that neither team created that many chances because both teams defended well, but I thought we were very much in with a chance of scoring a goal there. In the second half, I thought that they put us under a bit more pressure. Our goal was under siege more so than it was in the first half, but I thought that the players defended well throughout as a team unit, and really we restricted the number of goal chances to the sort of minimum, I suppose, you've got to accept when you come away from home playing against a top 4 team that's in good form.
8 points out of 12 for Fulham, going well, John, aren't they?
Yes, they are. I think there are 2 things to be said about Fulham. They don't score many goals. They don't let many in. It's 12-11, their goal difference at the moment. But 2 things I would say about them. There was a lot of attention on Brad Friedel today because he broke that record. But Mark Schwarzer has been a terrific signing for them. When it got a bit tasty in the penalty area today, he was coming through the crowd. And I think another player who maybe we don't hear mentioned very often is Breda Hangeland, the centre-back. I know he's been attracting a little bit of interest from 1 or 2 other clubs. I think Fulham would be silly to let him go because he's a tower of strength, a great presence at the back. And if you're Fulham, you've got to say, right, we've now lost 1 in 8. We've been to Liverpool and drawn 0-0. We've drawn 0-0 at Aston Villa. Earlier in the season, they beat Arsenal. So I would say that game in hand that Fulham have got is away at Old Trafford, but it isn't a foregone conclusion.
John, thanks very much. Did you enjoy your lunch with Mervyn King, the top man of the Bank of England?
I never quite got there, Ray, because of broadcasting commitments, but I'm hoping to go and have a cup of tea with him now and make sure he does the right thing with the interest rates, mate.
John Motson at Villa Park. Picking up on John's point about strength and depth for Aston Villa, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Spot on right, particularly with John Carew. Mark made the point while John was talking. Carew's injured. They've missed that battering ram. Not to be too unkind to John Carew, but they missed him today badly.
Let's be honest, they've been a work in progress for the last 18 months, 2 years, haven't they? They're not a team that are going to go, well, there's 70, 80 million, we're going to spend 30 million on a player. He's gradually improved that side. Martin won't be rushed into anything. Obviously, there is a lack of...
Steve, in the summer, he was the biggest spender.
Yes, I know, but what I'm saying is he started from such a low base mark when he took over. I mean, they were bottom 6 when he took over. It's been a gradual process. He's improved certain areas. There are still areas that need addressing. That's obviously one of them.
The statistics say that Hull City will stay up. No one has been relegated from this position from the number of points from and would you agree with that?
Yes, I mean, I don't know about us. Yeah, I think what told us more was when they came through the period, when they lost games, when things didn't go their way. That told us more about, that convinced me more that they'd stay up than when they were winning games early on in the season.
They played good football against Stoke and they scored from a set piece against Stoke, and I thought a draw was a fair result.
Bolton, 4 wins out of 5. Bolton 7th in the table. Great run of form. Let's hear from their manager, Gary Megson.
Gary, how good was that performance?
Well, it was for most of the game. It was terrific. We didn't start. The watchword or the watchwords in the dressing room before we started was same again, and we certainly didn't get that in the first 10 minutes. We were the tempo. We were off it a little bit, what we would expect, and Sunderland got what was a deserved lead in the first 10 minutes, but after that our response was excellent, and to come away and score 4 goals is a great testament to the quality of the players and also the honesty.
What is it about your team then? That's 3 away wins on the bounce. That's 4 away wins in total, double what you got during the whole of last season.
There isn't one thing. There's a lot of things that they are very good at, but even when results weren't going for us, I was saying all that I thought that we were missing at the time was we don't score enough goals when we're on top. When we do score goals, everything's entirely different. And what's happening now is the fact that we are scoring goals. People are now starting to recognise that, yes, we do play some decent stuff. They work the socks off every time they go out and play. Defensively, we're very solid, and we've got some top-draw performers there.
Bolton 7th in the table. Wigan are 9th. Steve Bruce has just celebrated a year in charge of Wigan Athletic. They're now unbeaten in 5, going really well. Let's hear from him.
Well, Steve, what a 5 days that's been. You started it in the bottom 3. By my calculations, you're now up to 9th.
It's quite incredible, and today we all were thankful that we've got the result. We must pay a big compliment to our goalkeeper. Our goalkeeper's earned us the result today. But what happened about 3-4 weeks ago against Middlesbrough and Liverpool, where we got mugged, it's happened to West Brom today. West Brom will go away today and thinking, dear oh dear, this is unjust, and that can be the Premier League. And what it is, we haven't played particularly well on the day. Our goalkeeper's played extremely well, and we've managed to nick a result.
you've rediscovered Henri Camara as well, almost literally, because I gather that you'd forgotten that he was part and parcel of the club, hadn't you?
I hadn't forgotten, but when I came into the club a year ago, he'd gone on loan. So I presumed that obviously his contract was finished. He'd been he'd been at the club for 2.5 years or whatever, and gone to West Ham for a season-long loan. I presumed that he'd gone, and that was the end of him. We had another year left, and to be fair, he's had to be patient because of the form of Heskey and Zaki. But we've said to him at the start of the season, look, you know, you're here, whatever's gone in the past, you know, we're not really interested in. If you can rediscover the form that you showed 4 years ago when Wigan were getting to cup finals and finished 10th, then we'll all be delighted. And fair play to the little fella. You know, he's proved that a goal scorer is a goal scorer. He's got in. Most people maybe wouldn't have got in there in the past who we've got playing for us. And he's got in there and finished with a great finish.
Still games to be played this weekend, but look at the table. Hull 6th, Bolton 7th, Fulham 8th, Wigan 9th. Well played to all those clubs.
Yeah.
And Steve Bruce has done a good job in his year there.
Do you know what? I'll tell you what. If you want an appraisal of a game and an honest appraisal, listen to him. After every game, he's absolutely spot on. He's saying today, do you know what? We played far better in recent weeks and lost games of football. Unluckily, you know, that's exactly how West Brom will feel today, because we probably didn't deserve to win a game of football that we did.
This season is warming up, Garth, isn't it?
It's been fantastic. But if you want to know why West Brom are at the bottom of the table, watch Match of the Day tonight and watch their centre-half pull away from a header he should have won.
Time to say goodbye to BBC One viewers, but more reaction to today's results is on the way. We'll be hearing from managers and players that, as we speak, are emerging from their dressing rooms. That's via the red button. Final score runs through till 6 o'clock, but it's time to say bye for now.